there! Bob books have been a really useful tool in my homeschool to teach reading. Today I'll share how I have used them and which Bob Books products I have used the most. Hi, I'm Jenny with Kids Learning for Life, and for some reference, my kids are 7, 6, and 2 years old. My kids haven't necessarily been late to learning how to read, because really what does that mean anyway? But I think I went into teaching reading with extremely high expectations because I happen to be one of those kids that was like fully able to read by the age of 5. I don't know how my parents taught me how to read, but I really wish I could just replicate the tactics that they used. Anyway, after having a terrible experience with Hooked on Phonics with my oldest daughter, and then also discovering the Charlotte Mason homeschool method, I decided I needed to change up my strategy a little bit. I was simply trying way too hard to teach reading to my kids while they were way too young. Right before this, my grandma had actually bought my kids the Bob book set called My First Bob Books Pre-Reading Skills, and I just immediately wrote it off and kind of like shoved it into a corner where we would never use it. I was really concerned that it was just going to be another one of these like Hooked on Phonics type curriculums, which is really textbooky and really like classroomy, I guess. I don't have better words to describe it, but so that's why I wrote it off, which I kind of regret now. My husband actually found them in the corner that I put them in, and he was like, hey, you should try this with our oldest daughter. So he encouraged me to give it a try, and I'm really glad that I did. Now, if you've never used Bob books or even looked at them, they're these really short and simple books that kind of build gradually on each other to teach phonics concepts. They're available in all sorts of different reading levels, and different Bob books teach different reading skills. The books have kind of cute little simple illustrations that keep the kids engaged. And at the beginning of the Bob books, there will usually be some sort of page that shows what concept will be taught in that book, whether it's a letter sound, a sight word, or a punctuation. Bob books are typically sold in sets of about 12 books, and each of these sets usually has a common theme or difficulty level. When we started using the Bob books in our homeschool, I was pleasantly surprised at how gentle this approach was to learning reading. The first few Bob books are extremely simple, and I think the fact that your child gets to read an entire book in one sitting is really empowering to them. Right here, I have an example of one of these books. I'll kind of just show you inside. Like, very simple sentences, very simple words to learn, some sight words, but mostly consonant, vowel, consonant words. So that's kind of an example of what you get in these very early Bob books and why kids are actually able to finish them on their own. I also want to show you this other one. This one actually has numbers in it. So it teaches how to read numbers. So that's kind of another example of what you can expect in Bob books and how easy they are to use in reading. Now, I would love to do a flip through of that original pre-reading skills set that I had, but I did actually give it away to a friend who actually started her own preschool. So it's in good hands, and I'm sure it's being used by all the kids there that are just now starting to read. I did actually end up buying some other Bob book sets that are at varying levels. The sets that I ended up buying are called Beginning Readers, Advancing Readers, and Animal Stories. Over time, these 3 different sets, even though they're varying difficulty levels, they've all kind of gotten mixed together, maybe put in the wrong boxes, and then also the cute little cardboard boxes that they come in to store them in have kind of gotten destroyed by my toddler, so that's kind of a bummer. Comment below if you have books that have become victims of your toddlers as well. But anyway, the reason I purchased these 3 sets is because they did seem to progress in difficulty level pretty well, starting with beginning readers, going to advancing readers, and then Animal Stories did seem to be a little bit harder than advancing readers. But in addition to these sets that I personally have purchased, there are a bunch of different sets and products that Bob Books has to offer. So I'm going to link to the ones that I have bought below, but I will also link to the Bob Books website where you can see the full list of everything they have to offer. So that will all be in the description below. The way that I have used Bob Books in my homeschool is really just to empower my kids to read independently. Early on, when we were starting to teach reading with these Bob books, I would have them choose 1 or 2 at a time to sit down and get all the way through. And at first, this was really slow going. So I understand the struggle of anyone out there who's struggling with these early days of teaching reading. I have been there. But over time, they did become more confident and more capable, and they were getting through them faster and faster, or maybe they were just memorizing them, but either way, they were getting through these books and really having a fun time doing it. Bob books are really simple, and they're not really that mentally stimulating as far as content goes. Each book is pretty short and not a lot happens in the plot. Although, I do have to say, I'm always impressed by these early reading books that can create a whole story using just consonant, vowel, consonant words. That is a talent in itself. My second daughter, who is 6, has always kind of gravitated towards these Bob books. She's not really past the Bob book phase yet. I think they're kind of her comfort zone. And, you know, even though she picks these up for independent reading time that we have set aside on free reading, called Free Reading Fridays, I'm kind of okay with that, even though I know a lot of them are below her reading level. I know that they're appropriate and they're building these reading skills slowly, and I have no problem with her reinforcing skills that she may have already learned. That never hurts. As far as pricing goes, I do believe that Bob books are priced fairly, but they're definitely not free. I've noticed they're often on sale on Amazon or even their website, but usually a set of these books, which is about 12 books, is somewhere between $10 and $20 each. I've even found random Bob books at used bookstores or used book sales for like maybe 5 or 10 cents each, so that's always another option. You could also probably find them on thrift books. I mean, they're pretty much completely widely available to anyone who's looking for them. And they definitely aren't the kind of books that you have to buy brand new. Used ones are perfectly fine. So kind of in closing, I think that Bob books are a really gentle way to teach reading. I think that they keep kids engaged with the illustrations, and it's really empowering for kids to be able to finish an entire book on their own, even at a really young age. They come in nice little cardboard boxes as storage, and they're really not terribly expensive. And one test of the quality of Bob books, I would say, is that when I'm going through my homeschool cabinet and purging the items that we just haven't used, Bob books are never one of the items that I throw out. We do still use them periodically, and I know that these are books that even my younger daughter, who's 2, who's not reading yet, can use as she's growing up. If you're looking for something that's not quite a curriculum, but a really easy way to teach reading skills, Bob books are definitely the way to go. If you want more tips on how to encourage independent reading in your homeschool, check out my Free Reading Fridays video. This is a really fun concept on how to just integrate more independent reading in your day. See you next time, and happy homeschooling!